Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're diving straight into the blueprints, the history, and the raw data behind a truly fascinating place, Tan Son Nhut International Airport. And look, this isn't just an airport. We are talking about the absolute busiest, most structurally crucial aviation gateway in all of Vietnam. Honestly, if you've ever flown into the southern half of the country, there's a huge chance you've already walked right through its gates. But how does this massive, sprawling engine of travel actually tick? Well, let's find out.
Okay, picture this. You're looking out your airplane window, getting ready to land, but instead of the usual empty fields or ocean, you're dropping right over this breathtakingly dense sea of endless rooftops, packed streets, and skyscrapers. It literally feels like you could reach out and touch the city before the wheels even hit the tarmac. That is the crazy dramatic approach into Tan Son Nhut. We're looking at a massive megahub, processing 40 million passengers every single year, sitting just 6 to 8 kilometers straight from the beating heart of Ho Chi Minh City.
All right, Section 1. A hub inside a city, the tension of scale. Unlike a lot of modern global megahubs that are built way out in the quiet suburbs, Tan Son Nhut is entirely boxed in. It's this globally connected airport completely swallowed up by rapid metropolitan sprawl. The neighborhoods literally grew right up to the perimeter fences. And this deep, baked-in connection to the city is right there on your boarding pass. The airport code is SGN, which proudly carries the legacy of Ho Chi Minh City's former name, Saigon. It's a permanent reminder that the airport and the city are inextricably linked. You really can't tell the story of one without the other. Moving on to Section 2, powering Vietnam's aviation market, the dual force engine.
Now, what's really interesting about this setup is how it functions as the main engine for one of the fastest-growing aviation markets on Earth. It all comes down to this dual-force nature. On one hand, it's the massive southern base for Vietnam Airlines, the national flag carrier. They're running those heavy traffic trunk routes, using big wide-body jets to shoot straight to Europe, Australia, and even nonstop to San Francisco. But then, perfectly balancing out that premium service, you have VietJet Air. For them, it's an absolute powerhouse of a low-cost base, pumping out this intense, rapid-fire schedule of over 40 domestic routes, plus high-frequency jumps all over Asia. It's an incredible balancing act of premium long-haul reach and sheer raw volume. And hey, it's not just a playground for those two giants. It's also a crucial secondary base for domestic airlines like Bamboo Airways, Pacific Airlines, and Via Travel Airlines. Plus, it is a major international gateway. We're talking multi-daily flights from East Asian premium carriers like Singapore Airlines and Cathay Pacific, heavy long-haul routes from Middle Eastern giants like Emirates and Qatar Airways, and even a daily direct flight all the way to Los Angeles operated by United Airlines.
But I really want you to wrap your head around this number right here, 11 million. That is the staggering number of passengers flying the Saigon to Hanoi corridor every single year. It connects the economic heart of the country right to the political capital. Just to put that into perspective, it consistently ranks as the busiest airline route in all of Southeast Asia, and it's easily one of the top 5 most heavily traveled domestic flight paths in the entire world. That single route is the pulsing artery of Vietnamese aviation, and Tan Son Nhut is the heart doing all the pumping.
Which brings us to Section 3, a tapestry of past and present, history, pho, and bunkers.
Let's move to the timeline and see how this all builds. Because traveling through here isn't just about logistics. It's this deeply cultural trip where intense military history literally crashes right into vibrant modern life. If we look back to the 1930s under French colonial rule, this whole place was just a modest, unpaved airfield. Jump forward to the late 1960s and 70s, and it transformed into Tan Son Nhut Air Base, one of the busiest, highest-volume military airfields on the planet at the time. Fast forward to today, we're seeing mega structure expansions, and looking beyond 2026, well, a really substantial pivot is on the horizon. But the past is never really that far away here. The next time you're taxiing to your gate, just look out the window. The echoes of the Vietnam War are quite literally staring back at you. You can easily spot these incredibly heavy, heavily reinforced, blast-resistant concrete military hangars in historic bunkers just sitting there quietly, right next to modern civilian runways. It's this really powerful, almost surreal juxtaposition of war and peace. And then, in total contrast to those heavy concrete bunkers outside, step inside the terminals. This place is famous for giving travelers an immediate, full-on sensory explosion of authentic local Vietnamese life. You definitely aren't getting sad, generic airport food here. We're talking counters everywhere, dishing out traditional piping hot pho,
world-renowned banh mi sandwiches, and of course, that unbelievably rich, slow-dripped Vietnamese iced milk coffee from places like Highlands Coffee. It's a genuine, authentic taste of modern Vietnam before you even step foot outside the building.
All right, Section 4, Breaking the Bottleneck, Technical Specs and Expansion.
So, the big question, how does an airport physically handle all of this traffic? To survive the crazy tension of its massive scale being squeezed by those urban constraints, it relies on highly strategic, multi-million-dollar expansions. Let's look at the hard data for a second. It operates two parallel concrete runways. One is right around 3,000 meters, and the other is 3,800 meters long. These are specifically designed so they can comfortably support fully laden, wide-body aircraft. So your massive Boeing 777s, 787s, and Airbus A350s. And overall, the entire footprint is now scaled up to handle an absolutely staggering 50 million total passengers per year. And a huge piece of that survival strategy comes down to the highly anticipated Terminal 3. This brand new mega structure was built specifically to combat those chronic, frustrating overcapacity bottlenecks. By adding an extra 20 million passenger capacity strictly for domestic travel, T3 acts like a massive relief valve. It brilliantly allows the older Terminal 1 to dynamically shift its focus to dedicated airline transit flows, while Terminal 2 gets totally freed up to handle all the complex international customs processes. Of course, as anyone who travels knows, getting off the plane is only half the battle. Because this airport is totally landlocked, it relies 100% on the city's road infrastructure. To manage that street-level chaos, they've set up highly organized, multi-level pickup zones for app-based ride-hailing, so your Grab, Bee, or SanSM rides. Or, if you're traveling on a budget, you can jump straight onto the air-conditioned Bus 109. That thing cuts right through Saigon's notorious rush hour bottlenecks and drops you straight into District 1 in about 45 minutes. Those options are absolutely critical lifelines. Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, the long-term resolution, the pivot to Long Thon. So here's the ultimate puzzle. How on earth does an airport that is completely boxed in by city streets possibly prepare for the next 50 years of growth? Well, the crucial point is this. Vietnam has advanced the construction of an absolutely massive, brand new facility called Long Thong International Airport. It's located about 40 kilometers east of the city, and it is purpose-built to structurally relieve those tight, suffocating urban constraints that Tan Son Nhat has been dealing with for years. And the sheer scale of this upcoming shift is just wow. As Long Thing scales up its commercial phases, it's projected to swallow up to 80% of all long-haul international traffic. 80%! That is an unprecedented, monumental capacity shift away from SGN. Now, at first glance, you might think losing all those big long-haul flights is a downgrade, right? But actually, it's a massive strategic victory. The future for SGN is all about cementing its role as a high-frequency, ultra-convenient hub located right in the city center. By shedding all that heavy international long-haul burden, SGN gets to permanently focus on what it does best, incredibly rapid domestic connectivity and quick, regional South Asian routes. Basically, it transforms into a hyper-efficient machine for the everyday traveler. Which leaves us with one seriously fascinating question. As Long Tan takes over all the heavy global lifting, how will a hyper-domestic, hyper-efficient Tan Son Nhat completely reshape the future of Saigon? Will having a brilliantly streamlined inner-city airport push Ho Chi Minh City's economic and tourism growth even higher? It is a major infrastructural pivot, and it is going to forever change the landscape of Vietnam's most vibrant city. Thanks for hanging out with us on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the incredible systems that keep our world moving. See you next time.